wake up and welcome to another episode here for What's Up Wrestling on our Wrestling Wednesday here on the Fungal Pod. And today I'm going to keep it really short. I did announce last time that I'm going to change something. I didn't expect the change to be like this right now, but in regards to what's going on in the world, I actually don't want to review anything right now or analyze who's using media, how, in which way, and so on. We can do this next week, the week after, and so on. This week I only have one question. 1.5 questions. Like, should wrestling companies refer to current situations, like the war in the Ukraine, right? Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Should wrestling companies get involved in regards to stop showing your product in that region, for example? Not portray people from that region, not hire talent from that region. But then, of course, the talent would suffer, and the talent is quite likely not someone who's invading Ukraine, right? So what do you do as a wrestling company? Of course, in this case, the biggest one, WWE, or then also, of course, AEW, due to recent success and fame. So what's the right thing to do here? And I don't know. What's not the right thing to do, and what I do expect to happen at some point, is to have a character, like a Russian character, basically another Miro character popping up in WWE, coming out with a tank and saying he's gonna annex everything just like Putin did. I think that would be of bad taste. I'm a bit scared that Vince is gonna go for it though. But that's just one thought. The main thought really is, should they do it? Like, for example, Batman, right? The Batman movie now got held for release in Russia. So they're not releasing it in Russia right now. Should WWE, AEW, all the others, should they do the same thing? And again, I understand that it's not the people that are consuming the product are not the people that are going to war, right? Quite likely. Well, maybe actually soldiers might be watching wrestling, but still, they're not the ones making decisions. So the wrong ones would suffer, right? But then is this how you increase pressure on the government? Is the government going to listen to those people? But if you don't do anything, aren't you just standing idly by? Those are really questions, and they might be a bit heavy for a wrestling podcast, but also questions that really, occupy me these days. And not only wrestling related, like life related, obviously, but also then wrestling related, right? So what should we be doing? Should then maybe the fan, the consumer say, I'm just going to boycott everything Russia-related, in our case now wrestling. If there's like a Russian performer, I'm going to boycott the performer. If someone portrays a Russian character, I boycott, I don't support that character, I'm not going to buy any merch or whatever. But then again, is it fair towards those people? Should wrestlers say, I'm not going to portray a Russian wrestler right now, for example? Yeah, right now, the Miro and Lana characters would be very difficult, obviously. So should then, and luckily, like we're like not in that area anymore, but just imagine, so should then wrestlers say, no, I'm not doing this, I'm dropping this right now? I mean, just remember about like all those gimmicks after 9/11, for example, right? So basically the question I have, and I don't really have an answer for that, and that's why this podcast is going to be really short today, because I really don't have answers. I just have questions, and I hope you guys that are listening or watching, you guys can somewhat find an answer, give me an answer, and try to keep it civil if possible. I know wrestling content, it's never really civil. But so I'm not saying either, right? I'm not saying we need to boycott everything. I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm really curious, like, what's the right thing to do? Like, my initial reaction would be, yes, boycott Russia, of course. Do everything just so they know that they can't just go to war with the whole world. Then again, what I said earlier, the people that suffer the most are probably not the people that are in charge, that make decisions, that are going to war. Just like all the economic sanctions hit the people that can't handle it first, right? Hit them the most, obviously. Does the government care? Probably not. Quite likely not. Definitely not, actually. So, what to do? Should AEW and WWE send a message like, we stand with the people of Ukraine? Should, I don't know, SmackDown this week not only be like the blue, but the blue and yellow brand, for example? Should they do that? Shouldn't they? It would be a cool sign, obviously, but would it only be then for PR? Wouldn't they then utilize what they're doing for PR purposes, and then maybe that takes away from the seriousness of a wrestling show? It's like, hey, we stand with Ukraine, and maybe the audience goes like, well, if it's part of a wrestling show, it can't be that serious. Yeah, what's the right thing to do? It's just like when artists and so on sing a song about something terrible, right? Do they know it's Christmas time and things like this? As soon as there's an argument by actually a media researcher, like from way back then, his name is Adorno, and he said, if pop culture gets involved in serious things like this, then it takes away from the seriousness. Now, you can agree or disagree, and I'm really curious, like, would this then take away from the seriousness if WWE, AEW answer, if they say, hey, we stand with Ukraine? I know, have like a message in the beginning, or have like the Ukraine flag somewhere in the corner of their broadcast or whatever. Would it be like pop culture getting involved and taking away from the seriousness, or would this show like, hey, we're with you guys, and if someone in Ukraine might see that, they're like, hey, yeah, cool, at least there's someone else thinking of us, and maybe it gets some more attention of wrestling fans towards what's happening right now, or maybe it doesn't. So those are questions that are really occupying my mind right now, as you can see. If you have answers to that, let me know. Either on social media. On social media, it's at funkitpod on all the social media channels. Email is funkitpod@gmail.com. Shout out. It would be really cool, and I don't want to say that in a video / podcast like that, but if you could like, share, subscribe to the thing, not just because I would like to grow the audience, but it makes it easier to be found. Also, if you rate that podcast, it makes it easier to be found. And then we have a bigger audience, and then we can hopefully have bigger discussions about topics like this. Because right now, again, I'm actually curious what you guys are thinking. And again, please try to keep it civil if possible. I'm not judging anyone, any opinion. I think, well, it depends on your opinion. But I'm really curious to hear what people think. Well, so that's a very short wrestling podcast with not much wrestling this week, but sincerely curious and looking forward to hopefully a civilized discussion there. As always, don't forget to stay safe in these days. That's I really mean it by now when I say that. Stay safe, take care. Always kick out a 2, and I hope I see and talk to you rather soon. Sawadee Cup.